feel beauty rising.
Hi, this is Sue Skaski with Vermont Volunteer Services for Animals Humane Society, and welcome to our show, For the Animals. Today we have Angelike Contis. She's the Executive Director of the Mount Mansfield Community Television. It's based in Richmond, Vermont, and they serve Richmond, Jericho, and Underhill on the phone. And she's also the director of a film called Muttumentary. It's about stray dogs who were adopted in Athens, Greece. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we were just chatting a minute before we started to record about a new mascot you have at your studio.
Yeah, we thought that we'd have a new mascot because just the day after New Year's, when we were all sort of gathering in the studio again, we heard a loud meowing from our basement, which is a pretty old building here in Richmond. And it turns out that a cat found his way down there, and we welcomed him upstairs into the studio and tried to find his owners. And it turned out he had come from further afield than we thought.
So were you able to find his owner?
Yeah, luckily we posted on Front Porch Forum, and somebody got in touch with us from the Animal Welfare Society, and they let us know about a site on Facebook called Lost and Found Animals of Vermont.
I've heard of that.
And we posted his picture there, and the family that lost him in Essex found him, and that's about a 10-15-minute drive away from here. So
wow.
It was quite a beautiful moment of reconnecting for them.
If only we could understand their language, so he could talk and tell you how he got to you.
It was really exciting because there's so many stories about stray animals that don't always have this perfect ending. So it was really nice to see this family. Mom and the teenage girls reunited with their pets they had adopted originally from the Humane Society.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I love to hear some happy stories every once in a while. I know that you grew up in Vermont and that you recently returned after 21 years away. But when you were away, you became involved in animal welfare while living in Greece for over a decade. Can you tell me about your experience there?
Yeah, it seems like, when I grew up in the States, I don't think that animal welfare is as much in your face as it is in certain countries abroad. And in Greece, anybody who travels there knows that you find a ton of cats and dogs sort of everywhere you look. So you can't help but get involved, and everybody I know there has pretty much adopted their dogs from the neighborhood. The dogs kind of show up. You don't actually have to go anywhere to buy one. They just come and find you.
Yeah. And when you came back, you brought somebody with you. Who was that?
Yeah, I brought my dog Zappy that I found when I was just going out for a jog one day in Athens, and she had been born in the ancient ruins kind of pretty close to the Acropolis. And she was born the year before the Olympics. And so Zappy kind of lived the whole Olympic city experience with us. And then when it was time to move to the States, she got her European passport, and she already had her microchip, and she just had to show a clean bill of health and headed over to the U.S. with us.
That's great. So tell me, when you made this film in Greece, how was it used?
Well, we had originally just made the film because we wanted to tell the stories, again, happy stories that have to do with stray animals, because it can be really disheartening looking around you, and we knew so many people that were completely worn out emotionally, financially, and spiritually a lot of times, and just trying to care for this, tide of stray dogs and cats they saw all around them. And we just wanted to put a face on the animals, because a lot of times, at least in Greece with so many stray animals, like the kids are taught to be afraid of them, or to see them as things, to objectify animals, which you pretty much do in most countries, I think, unless you're really sensitized from an early age. Mm-hmm. So without, really knowing who our audience would be, we wanted to put a name and a face for each of these stray dogs that got adopted and tell their story, each one of those stories was very dramatic, much more dramatic than the human stories, I think, in many cases.
Tell me, what drew you to Greece in the first place?
I ended up in Greece because actually my parents are from Greece, and I had gone thinking I'd just be there for a year, and I ended up being involved in journalism and stayed for 11 years. Okay,
so tell me, were there any special challenges about filming dogs in Greece?
Actually, one of the trickiest things was using a fluffy microphone, because the dogs would sort of react to it like it was alive. So that was one challenge. So I used less obtrusive microphones, and I really wanted to capture their point of view. For part of the film, we keep switching between the human and the dog point of view in the film, and we had to get low shooting, and it was actually, there were some very nice connections. Like I was out on a beach in Angelike, is a place in Greece, beautiful place on the coast with a ton of stray dogs on the beach, and it was kind of a great moment to just be out there filming these dogs I didn't know, and being down on their level, they kind of made me one of their pack, only for a few minutes.
That's great. How dramatic is the problem of stray dogs and cats in Greece?
It's really huge. I mean, there's a big problem because people don't tend to neuter and spay their dogs and cats, and that is just. I think it's a product that it was an agricultural society for a long time, and only in recent decades have they got it into a more industrialized society, where having a pet is a part of a lifestyle, and having a pet as a member of the family is really different from how it was in agricultural society, where animals tended to be more in a work role. I did want to mention that the film eventually was used by the nonprofit, the Greek Animal Welfare Fund. It was used in schools a lot, and we were really happy about that because we really wanted to change the thinking of kids that were starting out.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's absolutely wonderful. So just briefly, because we want to be able to show the Muttumentary in this segment, what are some of the activities that individuals, governments, and nonprofits are involved with trying to find solutions at this point?
Well, as everyone knows, that there's really grave financial problems in Greece right now. So a lot of nonprofits and friends that I have that are involved in this are telling me that people are often not able to pay for their animals' food and veterinary care these days. So there's more strays. But at the same time, I'd like to report something positive, which is in the last few years, there has been an increase in people that do neuter and spay their dogs and cats in Greece. People are much more sensitized to issues, and and there are always people that always have been that will dedicate like every morning to going and feeding the dogs in their particular neighborhood. Even if it's just leaving them their leftovers. And by law, just because there also are poisonings, you have to stay there, feed the dogs and cats, and then clean up your mess, I guess. Whatever bowls and things you leave. And also, it gives them accountability so that people don't just kind of go dropping food all over the place so you don't know where it's from.
So there are people there that are poisoning the animals?
There are many people, and one is the Greek Animal Welfare Fund, and they coordinate a lot of neutering and spaying programs, especially in the islands and in the countryside. We kind of found that the problem, at least from my observation, in the center of cities was not as bad as it was kind of the further you got out and into the wilds of the countryside sometimes. In the center of the city, the dogs are actually kind of used to being fed by people, a souvlaki here and a gyro there. In the countryside, things are a lot more rugged for them, and they'll often get dumped kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And people that are animal lovers in Greece tend to travel with a bag of dog or cat food in the back of their car just because they know they're going to find some starving animals out there.
That's actually what I do when I go on vacation. I always pack a bag of cat or dog food in our rental car and just drop it here and there. At least I know that I've fed some animals one meal at the very least.
It's a bit sad for us because, just before the Olympics, things were starting to be more organized in the local government and city government level, especially in Athens, where there was more of an effort to really account for the dogs and cats that would end up in the city and to get them neutered and spayed. And they'd actually do that and bring them back and leave them exactly in the neighborhood where they found them. There wasn't a program, and I guess they didn't have the facilities to take these animals and put them somewhere else. And the philosophy was to kind of leave them where they were. And now with the financial problems, all that is obviously been put to the test, and hopefully in years to come they'll be able to sort of pick up on that, keep going. There's a group I'd like to mention called 9 Lives Greece, and they take care and do a ton of neutering and spaying in the center of Athens of the cats, and they do really good work, and you can find their website, and there's a lot of actually English-speaking people involved with it, 9 Lives Greece. So they have a great website where you can really keep track of the different cats and what's going on.
Is that mentioned in the documentary?
They're not, but they're kind of really closely involved with the Greek Animal Welfare Fund.
Okay. In closing, can you tell me a little bit about Zappy, the dog you brought back? We have 60 seconds left to go.
Zappy is a very lively one. Sorry, Zappy's very lively, and I think animals are so adaptable. She quickly adjusted to becoming an American, and even though she does still have her European passport, and she also still has kept some of her habits that we keep trying to get out of her. But I guess once a street dog is always a street dog in a way. Like, she loves garbage. I can't really let her run around too much because she'll end up in my neighbor's big garbage pails.
She's an opportunist.
But she's really a pleasure, and everybody always thinks how amazing it is that she started off on the streets there and has ended up having a pretty nice time in Vermont.
So tell me, is that a common personality trait for the dogs that were living on the street, to always be looking for a place to get the next meal?
I think they just don't understand that I think that they've kind of learned to, growing up, they kind of learned that they had to keep looking for their food all the time. I think it's kind of a dog thing, maybe just a race thing. They love their food sometimes.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about her is that I actually know, as you'll see in the film, who her mom is, because everybody knows her mom, and somebody identified her when I was walking her in my neighborhood and pointed out who she was, and somebody even claimed they knew who her dad was, which I think was a bit of a stretch, but you never know.
That's true. Okay, in closing, how can someone who's concerned with the plight of animals in Greece help out, especially now with the financial crisis? Just tell me in closing, what can we do?
Well, I think that the first thing that they can do is kind of look around their neighborhood, because there's so much going on with stray animals here, and people who are breeding dogs and cats, and I think in a really inhumane way, and making a profit off of it and dumping the ones that they don't need or don't make a profit. And I was shocked to find out that these puppy mills are going on in the U.S. after having spent all that time in Greece and seeing the stray situation there. But if you do want to get involved in Greece, you can find the website for the Greek Animal Welfare Fund and 9 Lives Greece. And it is possible to also, when you go to Greece to vacation, to adopt one of those animals and bring them back with you. They make very strict checks to just make sure that the animal is healthy, that it's had its rabies shots, has its passport and its microchip. But if it's in good health and the paperwork is right, then that's one possibility.
Great. We'll put that information up. And I want to thank you so very much for joining us. And thank you very much for watching For the Animals. And please enjoy the film Muttumentary. Thank you.
We always show For the Animals here in Richmond.
And we appreciate it very much. Take care.
Thank you.
And now, Muttumentary.
I've always lived on the street.
I didn't have direction in my early life.
I got involved with gangs.
My mother kicked me out.
Athens can be a cruel city when you are born into hard luck and abandon. You face vicious fights, intense hunger, and both natural and man-made discomfort.
But now, things are much better.
Zappy had a happy puppyhood in the canine menagerie of the Olympian Zeus ruins. But when she was about 3 months old, this bitch, her mother, kicked her out. Luckily, a passerby took her home. Life is easier now, though a few points of contention remain, like sleeping arrangements.
Hey, down.
Proper nutrition.
τσάπι. Hey.
And the etiquette of receiving guests. Things looked glum for Andres when at age 2, he was seriously mauled by a car and left limping like a skeleton down a pathway out of town in Lavria. But today, after care and rehabilitation, this god of war reigns over his own little kingdom.
I've done my time, that's for sure. Done a lot of thinking. There are good two-leggers and bad two-leggers out there. As for my own kind, when a dog treads on my turf, I let him know. I may not move as fast as he does, but I haven't lost my bark, my bite, or my way with the ladies.
Bravo, bravo. Έλα, πάμε. Οπα. Έλα, να σου. Γρήγορα, γρήγορα. Γρήγορα, μπράβο.
Most people think that starting out life in Makriani, the exclusive district under the Acropolis, is like being born with a silver spoon in your mouth. But not when you are neglected the minute you grow out of that practical newborn puppy size. One day, Merenga's owner tied her to a pole and never came back.
I waited and waited and waited. Nothing. I tried to distract myself and not think about the darkness and the big scary dogs. Finally, instead of my owner, he came. I had never seen a two-legged being that smelled so sweetly of dog. I knew it was a temporary affair from the start, but I really didn't care. I felt secure. I slept on his bed at night and enjoyed his lovely cuddles. Now I've got my own home, and my owner has more treats, toys, and snacks up her sleeve than I can even handle. I'm still learning to trust, but I know that I'm loved.
Oh, he may look like a cute little poodle to you, but Frango hasn't always had it easy.
It was right here, on Fragoclisia Street, that on a bitterly cold night of 2001, a car stopped. Someone opened the door and deposited in the trash bin Frangos, who was then but a 2-month-old ball of fur.
Luckily, a journalist with a keen eye for detail saw the atrocity.
Κάτι δεν μου άρεσε στον τρόπο που το πετάξανε και σταμάτησα και εντωμεταξύ σταμάτησα και πάω προς τα εκεί με αλάρμ και εντωμεταξύ είχε σταματήσει κι άλλο ένα αυτοκίνητο για να δούνε πάλι τι συμβαίνει και ήταν ο Φράγκος, ας πούμε, ήταν ένα τόσο πραγματάκι που ήταν εκεί δίπλα και το κρατούσε ο κύριος από το άλλο αυτοκίνητο.
With ample food, toys and affection, it seemed that life couldn't get better until she showed up.
Franco is a bit macho, but he's very affectionate. He dotes on my every bark and always protects me. He's so cute. Our own
owner's nice too. When I was growing up, I didn't know the word fetch. Now I get lots of exercise and fun. I guess we're a family.
They say it takes a whole village to raise a dog. That's the case with Ivan, who after being adopted and abandoned, is taken care of by diving store owner Ali, the good folk at the pet store, and other neighborhood heroes. Ivan only pretends he doesn't need anyone.
Beg, sit, roll over, good dog. Yeah, right. I cherish freedom above all. Sure, sometimes the two-leggers lend a hand, but they are just thrilled I'm around to protect the neighborhood.
Έλα μέσα να δείξεις. Έλα εδώ βρε.
Mozart is as passionate about one thing as the 18th century composer he was named after was about tunes. Ever since he was a puppy found in Marathon, he's been a dog obsessed. He must have been a football star in his past life. While some may see his behavior as antisocial, Mozart uses his sport as an excuse to make the connection, to get people out of their shell, or at least to test their character. He knows to live well, you have to take care of yourself. When you are a young, mixed-breed, single mother, life's prospects are limited. But Gamine was lucky. Of the dozens of dogs at the Koropi Dog Shelter, she was chosen as a pet. Her owner has great expectations for her education. He has already taught her French. Next are piano lessons and ballet.
I was, how do I say it, very lucky. I didn't have a whole lot of direction in my early life, but now I have a place to call home. Maybe I get a little nervous at times.
Hey!
Yes. Sometimes my owner scolds me, but I'm content. Oui.
Ellie and Olya were just little kittens when they were rescued.
Cut! This is the one about stray dogs, not cats.
Sorry, back to our program. Yes, here it is. For every Zappi and every Mozart, every Frango, Lisa, Merengue, Gamine, Ivan, and Aris, there are countless others who are less fortunate, who suffer injury, disease, malnutrition, or are chained up for life, poisoned, or abused. The fate of these animals depends on the kindness or the cruelty of strangers. Among them are Daikis, Mela, Hector, Manolis, Hercules, Hara, Frosso, Ira, Maria, Gigas, Spitha, Mario, Zeus, Mortis, Kephalas, Bianca, Tequila, Mangas, Asteris, Petros, Stanley, Asterix, Adartis, Laser, Fatsas, Lulu.
At dusk, there came a turning. There was a moment when all was known. You could feel beauty rising on the breeze, that shapes the stone, and I would ride upon the breeze that shapes the stone.